bulking season. It's eternally bulking season. Yeah, I gotta drink my protein. Okay, so I'm gonna start recording my screen because today we're gonna go over what I've been doing for the last week or so since I got a no from that last venture capital company. And this thing that I've been working on is like super cool and I love it, and it's been a lot of fun to play with. So I'll show you that. I'll also just, before we jump into it, I will say there's another thing I'm going to pitch to, and it's a entrepreneur competition that you can win some money, and it's local, and I thought, why not? I have a pitch deck, and that's basically all it takes to get in. And if you get in, then you can like pitch to a bunch of people who come to the event. It's almost like a science fair, I think, where like you each have a booth and people will go around, you could talk to them, and then there's like judges, and then they pick like a final 12 to actually present the pitch deck. So I'm gonna try that. I think the cutoff is in like a week or two, so I thought, hey, might as well send that pitch deck in and see what happens. But I don't have the pitch deck to work on because I've already worked on the pitch deck. So what I've been working on are the wireframes for the new app, because I thought if we're gonna build a new app, it'd be good to have everything set up beforehand. I can make the design now so that part of it is a lot easier, and I only have to worry about like the flow and all the logic behind the app and all that crap. So I've been designing wireframes. I had initially started doing them in Canva, but then I found Figma, and so I've been doing them in Figma. And I like Figma. That's been super fun in the last couple days. I don't have the whole app finished, but I have a good portion of the app finished, like the login process, and then a lot of variations of the swiping screen. So let's jump into those and let's go through those. I'll throw up the video that I'm screen sharing now, and this is the prototype preview that you can do in Figma. So in Figma, I assume most of you know what Figma is, but if you don't, it's like Adobe Illustrator meets Canva meets like, you can click on things and do workflows. So you can pick a size, and I just pick the size for like an iPhone 15 Pro or whatever, and then you design on top of that, and then you can link bubbles or text or whatever to other screens to say, hey, if I click on this text, take me to this other screen that I designed. So you can prototype apps. So this is the home screen that I designed. I've been screwing around with this because I don't know if I super like it yet. We need some kind of tagline, I think, and to find friends with your partner the safe and easy way. I put that in there because I had started designing these right after I got the feedback from Tandem, and the guy said only swingers will want to use this app. And so I'm trying to think, I've been thinking of a way to try and lessen the swinger vibe and really push through the idea that this is like a safe way for people to make friends, and swingers are not going to be on this app. So that is what it is. But generally, this is a pretty good login screen, I think, and this is what most login screens for most apps look like. So this is it. Let's go through this get started process first. You see, if I click over here, it'll like show those two blue buttons are the only places that you can click on this screen. So if I click on get started, this is what it will look like to log in. So let's get you signed up, and you type in a phone number, then you hit next, then it's validate that code, then you hit next. Then it's a number for your partner. I'm debating whether I'm going to keep the verify my partner later option in the app, because if you keep the barrier to entry really high, then you'll have less people join your app. But if the barrier to entry is low and one person can set it up themselves 99% of the way, you might get more people signing up, and then they'll just go to their partner later that night and say, hey, can we finish verifying you on this account? And then they'll talk about it and finish it. Whereas if they had to do it right then and their partner's at work or in school or whatever, then like, you know, you might not, they might just bounce out the app. So I think I might leave that in there. But let's hit next anyway. So you hit next, validate the second code. Let's get to know you more. Let's type in emails. Great. Tell us more. What are your first names? Tell us more. What are your birthdays? Then tell us more. Genders. The relationship status. Tell us more. Where do you want to find couples? And this will either be the zip code that they're currently in, or they could just do the location from their phone. That's great. On to the fun stuff. So this is just picking the interests that you and your partner like. So super easy. Let's get some pics. This is just uploading, I'd say 9 pictures is fine. So we've got a tile. I actually screenshotted this from from Tinder. So this looks familiar. This is just from Tinder, and I just inserted a screenshot because I didn't want to design each individual square with a button. So then when you hit finish, these are the like design ideas I've had for the swiping page. I know what should be included in the login process, but I don't care too much about how it's designed. But this part, I care very much how it's designed because this is like home in the app. So I'm going to bounce through a couple of the ideas and just talk through, I think, what I was thinking in all of them. When I designed these last night, it was like midnight, so I might not remember everything. So this version, I think this is like one of the later versions, and I've actually navigated between these by hitting, I think, the X's and the check marks. So those take me in between the screens. So I'll start with the very first one. And these aren't in the order that I made them, but I think this one, we had started out, actually, maybe it is better to do it one by one. So I think I started out with a design like this. That's just like takes up the whole screen, super modern, sleek looking. And then I showed it to my wife and she said, you know, this stuff on top, like the logo and the chat and all that stuff, it'd be nice to have on the bottom because most apps these days have a thing at the bottom where your thumb is to access. And I said, okay, cool. So I did something like this and I just threw all those buttons at the bottom. And then, I don't know, I put this icon up here because we're probably going to have a filtering option or like a look in groups option. So you could just filter not by your location, but by like specific groups inside the location. The problem with all of these designs, this one and this one, is that it's not abundantly clear how you would see the rest of the profile. And so that's when you get into stuff like this. And I started to put this card in here. So this card and these little dots show you, hey, you could swipe on more pictures to see what they're like. You know, this would be swipeable where you could have like the card just initially show the name and the interests, and then if you just drag it up, you could see the bio, you could see like other things that they're going to put in there. So that was one version. Let's see. This is another version where we have, instead of the bar at the top, we just put that bar at the bottom. This is kind of an example of what that would look like, and this is another one. These buttons would kind of get in the way if they're just hovering there and you wanted to like drag the profile card to see the rest of the profile. These match and unmatch or not match buttons might get in the way, so we put them above, which, you know, we could do. And then had like a little yellow arrow to kind of say, hey, you're gonna just tap this and it'll drag it up. So that's cool. Here's another version that I was playing with. I think this was when I made a little bit later, just messing with the same idea. Like we wanted this stuff at the bottom, but then my wife said, oh, what if we had like the logo at the top? And this is kind of what Tinder's looks like. This is a lot of what Tinder's looks like, actually. They've got rounded corners on theirs. They have a logo. They have their the navigation buttons on the bottom, and then they have like a set of 5 buttons that you can choose to match with people. And then there's like you tap and do weird stuff. And then I thought, same problem with this. Like, how do you view the rest of the profile? So then I think I went to this. Oh yeah. So the difference between this one is there's no app logo at the top, but this is kind of the same vibe with the app logo at the top. And that's all of them. So that's actually all the home screens that I've made. It's just those. I think my next step, I'm going to screenshot these and then just share them on my Instagram and ask people. I've got like 100 people on Instagram, but basically ask those 100 people, which design do you think is the best? And I might pick, you know, out of these 7 or 8 that I have, I might pick the top 4. And just ask people and see what they think, because user testing is the way to go when it comes to app designs. Actually, the way to go when it comes to app designs is you do, like, you don't ask people, but you get my wife's hair dryer. You don't ask them what they do. You like have them test an actual design and you use the app. And like you have people use this version, people use this version. And from what I've heard, you can usually tell from data what people like if they're using the app more, if they're using the app less with certain designs. And that's the way to tell, because people will not always tell you. They'll tell you what they think they want, but it's not always what they're going to use. So that's the real way to do it, and eventually we're going to do that. But for right now, I have to just ask people. I think my personal favorite, if I had to go in between all of these, I really liked these ones with the card. I do think I'm slightly attached to having a logo at the top, so I like that one. This one's probably... I might like this one the most, actually. But, you know, whatever. We'll see. I'll see how it goes. I still don't know if you can get, like, sued for having a design that looks like another design. But basically, Tinder and Bumble and Grindr and Hinge and all those apps, they're like kind of all basically the same. So how many variations those can do before you just get sued by everybody because they all think you're stealing their design? I don't know. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last little bit. And that's all I have. I have the login process, and then I have the splash screen, and then I have just these examples of the swiping page. I think the next thing that I'm going to have to do is just go through and do what the profile page will look like when you change your photos or you change your bio or your interests. And then I'll have to have a chat page, and the chat page will just be a normal chat page. And then maybe an example of what the things to do section looks like. I put that in there as this little map icon. So you've got your profile, this will be the matching section. This will be your matches / messages, and then this section is the things to do, where you'd either have like a map or just a list of all the things to do in your area. So, as always, I'd love to get feedback in the comments, but no one watches these videos. We currently have 0 views. So, by the time anybody ever watched this and gave us feedback, it will be too late and we'll be far, far past this phase. But this is fun. I thought this was really exciting. It makes me feel like I'm working on the app without actually having to be working on the app. And I'm learning a new tool. I'm learning Figma, which is always useful to know what kind of tools you have at your disposal and and to know what your options are. So that's what I've been doing. I'll probably do this for another week or so until I have a full app. And then once I have the full app, then it's just move on to the next thing. I don't even think I know what the next thing is yet. But so yeah, that's where we're at. That's what I've been up to. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one.